when you were a teenager, what young adult books did you like?
You know, when I was a teenager, it wasn't really a large genre at the time. And the only young adult books that I remember all had blue covers, and they were all based in the 1950s, which was like light years away from the times I was living in. And they all had titles like Senior Prom and Junior Year, and people like got pinned, and it was like reading about another, you know, century. I felt like I was an archaeologist almost reading those books, but I read them all, and that's all we had. We didn't have books like you do now, like the Traveling Pants and all those great books that everybody's reading. So when I was a kid, there weren't books specifically for that age group. So you kind of went from kids' books, and then you just leapt into adult books. And there's a book called The Outsiders that's been in print for 30 or 40 years, and that was written about the time that I was a little bit too old to read it when it came out, but that was sort of the beginning, in my mind, of the young adult genre. And she was a teenager when she wrote that book.
Oh, cool. If you could ask all your readers one question, what would it be?
I would ask them if the place in my book and the people in the book seem like real people to them. Because when you write it, you can imagine it in your own mind, but it's very hard to imagine that somebody you don't even know picks up your book and they think it's to them it's a real book. Because to me it's a manuscript on typed pages. But to someone else like you pick it up in the library or at a bookstore and it's a real book. And then I think, do you get caught in the story? Do you go in there and feel like you're on this island, or you know the people in the story? It's really hard to imagine what it's like to read it if you don't already know it inside and out the way I do.
When I read the book, I was really like imagining the island and imagining the characters, especially Jonah. He's like hot.
Yeah, especially Jonah. Now, did you put yourself in Casey's shoes?
Well, yeah, actually, it was. I imagined her as like a fun-loving girl who just like, I don't know. She just didn't like the fact that she had to be away, and I don't really know what she looked like. It's hard for me to imagine what she looked like.
And that's I kind of on purpose, because I rather not over-describe things so that you can make her however you want.
Yeah.
But did you feel like you can identify with her, like you would think some of those same things or do some of those same things?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because, I don't know, it just seemed like, it actually made me, like, want to be like, oh, I want to be on that island with Casey and Jonah and PJ.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, so that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
But it's hard to imagine when you're typing on a computer what it's like for someone else,
Right. Okay. How did you feel when you saw your finished project for the first time?
I felt pretty good, because I thought, because when the publisher, when it's all done and they print the books, they send you some copies. So you get this box and you open it up and there's your name, and it's got a jacket, and it says things that you didn't write on the jacket, and you didn't design the jacket, and you didn't type it, so it feels like a real book. And the whole time you've been working on it, it doesn't feel like a real book. It feels like, it's hard to explain what that's like, but it's like if you write a paper for school. It's your own work, it's on your typewriter, or you're using your own font that you like. It's got your notes on it. And so it doesn't feel like a book you might find in a bookstore. So it's really fun when the box comes and you see it and you realize this is a real book, and people I don't even know, not just my best friend or my mom, are going to read this, and they're going to think it's a real book.
Cool. So, okay, I really wanted to ask you this question. Are you working on any books right now?
I am working on actually 2 books right now. I started a new young adult novel, and it's going pretty well, and I, hope to be turning that in this year. And then I have another book that is already finished, and I'm starting to revise it.
Okay.
So, and if either of those turn up pretty soon, I'll put them on my website.
Okay, good. Okay, what, in your opinion, are the most important elements of good writing?
The most important elements are probably... Ooh, that's a tough one. You'd think I would have already thought of that somewhere along the line. I would say you want to have a good story. You've got to have a good story, and you have to have good characters. So you can have a really good story, but if your characters if no one cares about them, it won't matter. And even if your characters are really good, if you haven't got at least some story to tell, after a while, no one's going to finish reading.
Okay. Do you know what's going to happen when you start writing a book or a story?
No. I usually write one sentence, and then I think, well, if this sentence is going to be there, then the next sentence has to be this, and then I write the next one. And then pretty soon, it just falls into place. Like when you're writing, a lot of times when a character opens his mouth, you don't even know what he's going to say. And then whatever they say allows you to write the next line because somebody has to respond to them. So it's really an interesting process because, like with Problem with Paradise, I knew I wanted her to get to an island, and I knew there was going to be a hurricane because I wanted a chance to write about what it's like to be in a hurricane. But beyond that, I didn't know anything else. And when Jonah showed up on the island, I thought, oh, good. And then I thought, okay, now he's there. Something has to happen between them. And I was really relieved when they take that walk and he kisses her because I thought, oh, good, now things are going to start. But you almost don't know. They almost write for you. The characters start to behave in a certain way, and it helps you follow their lead into the story.
Okay.
Now, that's not true of everyone. A lot of people know how to outline a story, and they know that, by about halfway, such and such has to happen, and then by the end, and they're probably much better writers. But there's a lot of us who let the story unfold on its own as we write.
I think I like the unfolding.
Oh, thank you.
If you had to do it all over again, would you change anything in The Problem with Paradise?
What I would do is I would make it funnier. I sometimes feel like I missed opportunities to make it funnier. And I always like books that are funny, so.
Okay. I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, I'm glad.
Okay, what is the best part about writing a book?
The best part is finishing it and putting it in an envelope and sending it to your agent. Because then you feel like you're done with it, because you do get pretty sick of it by the time you finish. And then it's up to other people to make it happen or not. But up until that moment, you have to sit all by yourself in a room, hunched over your computer, trying to, squeeze out one sentence after another. And once it's out in the mail, you feel sort of elated. So that's the best part.
What's the hardest part about writing a book?
And the hardest part is starting it. Well, I shouldn't say that. Actually, the hardest part is the middle. Because when you start, you're full of optimism and you think, oh, yeah, this is great. And then you start to get bogged down and think, oh, this is stupid. So the hardest part is getting through the part where you think it's too stupid to keep writing.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have for today. And you can visit Leslie Dahl's website at www.lesliedahl.com. And you can also read our Best Girl blog about her at bestgirl.typepad.com. Thank you so, so much, Leslie.
Oh, thank you, Brad. It was my pleasure.
I really enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye.